All right. So, real briefly, my name is Matt Lewis. I am the CEO and founder of Analytical Resource Labs. With us today, we have Dana Dunn, who is a member of our partnership team, and she's going to be carrying the bigger portion of the Amazon testing discussion. But we want to thank Mattson and Gabe and Matt and their team at Evolved Commerce for the opportunity to partner with you and to provide some information that we think will be helpful and meaningful. Gabe did a little introduction into Evolve, and I suspect that most of you know who Evolved is and hopefully are working with them already. But as Gabe said, they're a market-leading agency, an accelerator for Amazon sellers, which helps companies to make more money on Amazon, protect their brand, and reduce costs and effort. And I think that their services are well appreciated by many, many in the industry. They started in 2012. They began sourcing and selling their own products on Amazon, and they quickly realized that many other brands could benefit from their experience. And so they do a lot of Amazon account management, SEO rankings, as Gabe mentioned earlier, helping to boost conversations and increasing those sales velocities. So we're grateful for Evolved Commerce and what you guys do there. As an introduction to Analytical Resource Labs, our mission is to provide world-leading quality services that really exceed the expectations for service, professionalism, and value, and providing accurate, timely, and meaningful analytical data. We believe in doing it right, on time, every time. That is our mantra. That's what we live by. And we're very proud of our better than 97% on-time rating, which essentially means you submit a sample to Analytical Resource Labs and we commit to a certain turnaround time, you're going to get it in that turnaround time. And if you're asking for a turnaround that's not reasonable or we just can't accommodate that, we're very upfront forward with you and let you know what those expectations are. I started Analytical Resource Labs a little over 22 years ago, and we service the food, cosmetic, and dietary supplement industries. We also service the pharmaceutical industry as well. But we started out in dietary supplements, and that is the huge bulk of what we do, what we test. In 2000, we started with just doing microbiology testing. My background is microbiology. And so for 5 years, we did nothing but micro and a little bit of stability studies and helping companies with their shelf life stabilities. In 2005, we added a little bit of analytical chemistry capabilities. I think we started off doing caffeine and vitamin C was all. And we did that for, a few years. But really in 2008, we've become a full service microbiological and analytical testing lab. In 2016, we started testing pharmaceutical drugs. And in 2019 is where we really dove into helping companies get the right testing that's required by Amazon. And more importantly, helping them, providing them with the certificate of analysis that Amazon needs in order to get your product sold and carried on that platform. It's important to note that ARL is an ISO 17025 accredited lab. As you've looked at putting your products into Amazon, they do require an ISO lab to do testing of those supplement products. We are also internal auditing certified through the Laboratory Accreditation Bureau, which takes that quality standard up even a little bit higher. We are an FDA registered facility. We're DEA registered and licensed to test all 5 categories of drugs. So any scheduled drug we can test. And again, I think that's a testament to the quality system that we have. We are GMP and GLP Part 111 compliant for food and drugs, BBB accredited, and we participate in the AOAC International Proficiency Testing. Again, an important part of any good quality system. We, as you can tell, we're very committed to our quality management system and would put us up against anybody in the country. We have a very good program in place, and our partners that we work with really appreciate that we help them mitigate risks through that quality system. This next slide may not be a whole real meaningful to most of you, but if there are some chemistry closet chemists out there that want to know what technologies we run HPLC for doing vitamins and actives like caffeine, CoQ10, taurine, things like that. GCMS, we do a lot of essential oils testing. So we have a GC. ICP-MS for doing heavy metals and minerals. If you have products that are being sold into California, chances are you've heard the term Prop 65, and we do a lot of testing for Prop 65 compliance. We have UV-Vis, FTIR for raw material identifications, PCR for rapid microbiology, and HPTLC for additional raw material identifications of herbals and herbal extracts. One of the great things about Analytical Resource Labs is that we do same-day setup on all of our microbiology samples. So we don't let them sit overnight. We recognize that the industry turnaround times matter, and the faster, the better, the quicker you can get your products to the market. We recognize that. In fact, I've owned manufacturing facilities over the years. And so I really do understand the importance of turning those results as quickly as possible. And that's why we're so focused on that. Our Lehigh facility is a 12,000 square foot facility. It was designed to be kind of a showpiece. If you happen to be in Utah and want to come down and visit our facility, we'd love to have you and give you a quick tour. And we're real proud of the facility that we have here. In addition to our flagship facility in Lehigh, we have satellite labs in Tempe, Arizona, Washington City, Utah, and for those that are familiar with Utah, that's down in St. George, Tampa, Florida, and New Brunswick, New Jersey. At this point, I want to welcome and introduce you to Dana Dunn. Dana joined Analytical Resource Laboratories as an analytical chemist. So her background is in chemistry. She joined the ARL team in 2019. And then in 2021, she became a member of ARL's partnership team. So ARL's partnership team is focused on answering questions that our partners have about their testing, their requirements, and helping you through that process. They are your liaison, your eyes and your ears inside the lab. And so they're a tremendous resource. One of the great things about ARL is when you give us a call or you send us an email, we respond quickly. Whereas perhaps some of the other labs around the country that you might know are maybe a little less responsive. So Dana, we'll go ahead and, I also wanted to mention that Dana has helped facilitate well over 500 products getting into Amazon. So she has a lot of experience with this, and she is very accessible. So with that, I'll turn the time over to Dana.
Thanks, Matt. I say we just go ahead and get started. So a couple of things. Matt, I don't know if you want to keep on sharing the presentation or if you want me to take over.
No, I'll do it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, Matt pulls that up. Yes, I do have a ton of Amazon experience. I've helped companies here locally in the US, as well as some international ones in Spain and Mexico. So I promise you, I'm able to help you navigate the red tape that Amazon has set up to get your products sold on their platform. a couple of things that really affect is that Amazon came out with some new guidelines. These guidelines were to increase the standard and the requirements for any of their dietary supplements sold on the platform. So in order to sell your product on Amazon, these new requirements make it so that you need an ISO accredited COA or a certificate of analysis for anything that you have listed on your nutritional label. So if it's on the nutritional label, Amazon's going to have you submit a COA stating and quantifying what is on your nutritional label. Now, the reason why Amazon requires an ISO accredited lab is to ensure that the lab performing the test of the material, like the tests on the materials, has an extensive and robust quality system in place so that they can more or less have a safeguard saying that what's being sold on their website is what's being advertised. And the way to do that is get a lab that's ISO accredited. So I know you may be asking who needs to submit a certificate of analysis. So any retailer selling on Amazon runs the risk of having their product pulled or suspended if you don't provide an ISO accredited COA that meets the standards set by Amazon. This is where we can come in and we can help you. So Analytical Resource Labs has been serving the dietary supplement community for over 22 years. Not only are we ISO accredited with 17025, but we also have DEA and FDA license, like Matt mentioned earlier. So to be able to help you get your product and have it be sold on Amazon, we first need to get pictures of the front and back of the label of the product to see the claims, the ingredients, and what's listed on there, because it will be based off that, like how we decide what you should have tested, what we can test, or what has to be done by input. So any testing that can be done analytically, so run on a machine and quantified that way, has to be done analytically. Any testing that we do not do or there's no established method, we need the batching records. And the reason why is because the batching records will tell us how much of each supplement or ingredient went into the final product. And from there, we're able to calculate it and let you know, or in this case, let Amazon know that, yes, we see that 200 grams of ashwagandha root are in each serving size. So for by input testing, like I said, we'll need the batching records. This is not the same as the manufacturing records. It's almost the recipe they followed. We'll also need the raw material ingredients COA from the vendor. And we need to see what was actually put into the batching record that matches what you have on your nutritional label. So what items need to be submitted to ARL? Like we talked about it, the full product label, minimum of 100 grams per product. And there may be more that's needed. It all will come down to what your product label has and the testing that's required. We also need the batching records and the certificate of analysis of the raw materials. So timeframes. How fast can we get the COA out to you and get it all reported? We ask for 2 weeks at a minimum for testing and the paperwork review. So we need the paperwork, the batching records, and everything has to be in order before we can go ahead and get started on reporting. Amazon allows the products to sit in their warehouse for a short amount of time before a COA is required. So we should be within that time frame. Now, once we have all that, you need to know what needs to be submitted to Amazon. So the certificate of analysis from us, an ISO accredited lab. On the certificate of analysis, there has to be certain things, including the lab's name, contact information, and the ISO accreditation number, a list of all the ingredients, analytical data on ingredients which could be analytically tested, and then by input results for all the ingredients which cannot be tested analytically and had to be calculated. So by input is almost strictly for proprietary blends and botanical blends, things that can't necessarily be quantified once they're in a mix. Amazon will also need the batching records. So the same batching records that you send to us, you'll send to Amazon because they will compare the batching records to the COA we provide. From there, you may also need to submit the vendor COAs, so the raw material COAs. Now, the next question, how often must an Amazon product be tested? Right now, it's a moving target. There's no definitive answer. It would be once a year for anything that has to be tested for weight loss or sexual adulterants. So anything that is marked as whether it's a testosterone booster or any sort of situation like that, as well as weight loss, has to go through an additional package testing where they test and make sure that it doesn't have any soil or adulterants. After that, each production batch for dietary supplements has to be tested and you have to provide a COA. So anytime a new batch is made, you're going to have to get the Amazon testing done on it. What type of products need to be tested by Amazon's requirements? Anything with weight loss, any sexual enhancement products, and all dietary supplements are going to have to be tested, and an ISO accredited COA has to be provided. And that is all the information I have for you guys. I know it's kind of quick, so if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And thank you so much.
Thanks, Don. I appreciate that. So yeah, we tried to answer some of the most basic and most commonly asked questions. But at this point, we want to turn it over and if you have any specific questions that you'd like to address.
The one thing I think that might be helpful, and maybe you can shed some light into this. I know you said it's roughly a 2-week process to get the testing done. Can you shed any light onto like what the expense would look like for a brand if they're looking to do that?
Sure. Donna, do you want to address that question?
Yeah, of course. So it will all depend on what is listed on the nutritional label. Different tests have different prices. So there's not a blanket price that I could give. We quote each product individually based off just the requirements that the customer needs so that we can make sure that they're not overpaying for anything and we're providing the best service we can.
And I think, Gabe, also to add to that, if it's a simple product where it's a single capsule of CoQ10, for example, or let's use that as an example. So it's one single ingredient in a capsule, CoQ10. I don't know the exact price, but that could be $150 to $200. If you have a protein shake that has 30 amino acids and 15 different vitamins, then that can get quite a bit more expensive, and that can range up into the $1,500 to $2,000 range. But I think more often than not, those packages are kind of in that $300 to $500 range for testing. But as Donna expressed, it really depends on what you're claiming. We have to test whatever label claim you're making. So it's a good question.
All right, thank you. And then Diana asked here if you could, and maybe you can just go back a couple of slides, but to repeat those who need to submit a COA to Amazon. And I know, from our experience, obviously being in that space, it's typically any consumable or ingestible product. So something that's going to go on or in your body. So I know when you get to that slide, but it'll talk about like dietary supplements, sports nutrition type products. And then like in the adults category, like sexual enhancement or even testosterone pills, those kind of things. Anything that somebody's going to put, ingest or take into their body or put on their body. So topical products as well need a lot of testing. You can see here, those are going to be things, but Donna or Matt, do you guys know of other products that you see a lot of, maybe outside of Amazon as well?
Yeah. So the main products are things that are ingested, that are dietary. The main thing we see are sports or testosterone boosters, things like that. Anything that says, that has like a label claim that's going to help or improve something. So anything that's like helps with energy, improves vitality, things like that, those are going to be flagged. And it may be that if you already have selling products, they're kind of going under the radar right now. And we do see that sometimes where it's like, hey, I've been selling this for a year and I just got pulled. So it may be that, but it's mainly anything that's ingested and has some sort of claim to it.
And yeah, if there are any other questions, feel free to shoot a message over in the chat. Or if you can't find that, and you know how to kind of raise your hand here on Zoom, you can do that as well, and we can unmute your mic so that you can jump in and ask a quick question. But I do know, to kind of back up a lot of what's being said here, especially over the last couple of years with everything that's gone on in the world, Amazon has really started to be very strict about the testing and the requirements that they have. And so, having a partner, somebody like ARL that can help to make sure you get everything done and it's all accredited and then it's exactly what is required is really nice, because you can alleviate a lot of kind of the nightmares that some people are running into. Like Donna mentioned, Amazon a lot of times will allow you to send a product in and sometimes even start selling before the testing has all been approved. But what we've found is a lot of brands will come to us requesting help because a couple of weeks into selling, all of a sudden their listing gets deactivated out of the blue. And now all of a sudden they need to jump through and try and expedite this whole testing process. So, if you have a product that you're wanting to introduce to the marketplace, getting everything done ahead of time is great. And what's nice with what they do is it's pretty fast. It's extremely accurate. And, based on what type of product you have, can be very cost effective. So it's a great opportunity for you, those of you who are here, if you have a product that you need testing or even just want to get retested, it's a great opportunity to take advantage of ARL and what they have to offer.
Yeah, Gabe, I think you bring up some really good points. And when we first started doing Amazon testing in 2019, everything was reactive. And so people were having products pulled from Amazon and they needed testing tomorrow. And there was a lot of pressure to get things done as quickly as possible. But unfortunately, the tests do take time. And so I really appreciate your comment about being proactive. And if you're thinking about putting products on Amazon, let's have those discussions long before you're facing the consequences of having them pulled off the shelf. That's not a great scenario. And even if with your other products that aren't going into Amazon, if you're putting your brand on that product and you purchased it as a white label product from a co-man or you've developed the product yourself, the FDA holds the brand responsible for the quality of their products. I know a lot of brands expect that the FDA will hold the manufacturer responsible. And to a degree, that is true. But ultimately, it comes down on the brand name that's on the product. So even if you purchase a finished product from a co-manufacturer, it's always a good idea to do your due diligence and have things tested to make sure that your manufacturer is doing things the way that they're supposed to. Unfortunately, in the dietary supplement industry, there are a lot of bad actors, and it does happen. So we encourage people to protect themselves and mitigate risks. And I mean, that's the whole purpose of our existence as a lab. Any other questions that we can address for you?
So there's a question here from Stephanie. It says, are you saying it needs to meet both requirements to need testing, ingestible and a label claim of improving something?
So the testing, if you have an ingestible product and you're making a claim of what it's doing, if it's adding to vitality or energy or so forth, then yes, you need to test all the ingredients that are in there. Even if it's a topical, if you have a topical that is saying that it's giving you energy, those types of things need to be tested as well by Amazon. I almost hesitate to answer that question because, like I said earlier, Amazon is a moving target. But I think good practices is to have your product tested regardless. And we can certainly help you navigate that as the rules evolve and change over time. So I don't know if that answered Stephanie's question or not.
Yeah, I think to add, yeah, she says that, yes, thank you. And I think to add on top of that, like you said, it could be either or, honestly. What we found in our experience over the last 10 years of helping brands on Amazon is, you may not make a claim on the label, but if it is an ingestible product, at any given point, they could require or request, a certificate of analysis or some sort of test. And on the flip side, it may not be an ingestible, but if you're making a claim that it gives you energy or it increases stamina or something like that, at some point, Amazon's going to ask you to actually prove that that's the case. And what they're trying to do at the end of the day, Amazon's trying to protect the consumer, right? They want to make sure that people aren't buying into some sort of marketing tactic just to get sales. And so they want to make sure that the consumer is protected by tested and legitimized claims. So anytime people make those claims, they have to be backed by some sort of test or certificate or something. And Amazon doesn't allow just anybody to, do some random test in their garage or basement, right? It's got to be a legitimate source. And so that's where, again, somebody like ARL is instrumental in helping you get that done. I know we're about 30 minutes in. I don't know if there's any other questions. I know there was a message earlier. Fred, I guess, was having some issues with his connection. We will be sending out a copy of this to everybody. So all those who are registered will send a recording as well as some additional information. So if you want to get in contact with ARL, I know, Matt, you got the information here on the screen, but what's the best route for a brand if they wanted to, hire you guys to help run some testing or even give them an idea of what might be needed for their brand? What's the best way to have a consultation?
Yeah, I would say go ahead and email us at info@yourqualitylab.com. This is an email address that is monitored by Dana and her team. And so it's not a black box that goes nowhere like most info emails, but send us a quick email to info@yourqualitylab.com or visit us online at analyticalresource.com, and you can chat with us directly through our website or submit a information request there as well. As we move forward in our partnership together, you can fill out the new partner package directly on our website. It takes 5 or 6 minutes to do that. And then we can set you up in our system. We also offer online access to all of our data, and that's real-time updated results. So you can log in at any time and see how the progress of your sample is looking. You can download certificates of analysis from there anytime that you'd like, and submit samples through our website as well. So we have a lot of capabilities there. But I would say the first step is to send an email to Dana and her team at info@yourqualitylab.com.
Perfect. Thank you, Matt. And thank you, Dana, for the presentation. I appreciate all the insight. If there's no further questions, we'll go ahead and we'll end this recording and this webinar. Like I said, you should see something here within probably the next day. We'll make sure everybody gets the recording. And then you'll also have an email from us. So if you have further questions about Evolve Commerce or ARL and testing, feel free to reach out. And if you have specific questions that you want to get in contact with ARL, shoot them an email or go directly to their website. You get in contact with their team. But we appreciate everybody's time. Genuinely excited to work with any of you that have any questions. So feel free to reach out. But we will go ahead and end this, and we'll see you all later. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thank you.